optional tenting on the bottom. You just go from here and you pull and you get a tented keyboard. One of the coolest pieces about this board. I'm really excited to build this first of all. I'm going to tell you guys the listed price. This might change. Please take the price with a grain of salt. I'm assuming they've already maybe thought of all this, but I mean, there was an announcement this morning that there's another 50% tariffs. So we'll go through some of the specs of this. Gonna roughly be total $289 excluding shipping. Again, shipping might vary. A lot of stuff might vary. We'll just call it $289 US and call it a day right now when it comes to pricing. TBD. Vendors are also TBD. They did send this out to us. This is sponsored because they are letting me keep this. So we're going to take a look. We're going to be as honest as possibly can and kind of just take a look at what features this guy has to offer. I'll be honest, there's a lot of cool things in this. There is a lot of really, really cool things in this package. Also, the case for this is the biggest case I've seen from QWERTY Keys yet. I'm actually really excited to do this one because I think this board here has a lot of cool features to it. Ooh, is this gold? Wait, sand gold. I would assume this would be sand gold because it also looks anode. All right, so right away we can see there's a pogo pin. I already know a little bit about the build here, but we'll take a little bit more. There's also an adjustable foot mechanism on the bottom that can allow a different tilt, which I think is super freaking cool. And then here is the other really interesting part about this build. This is a receiver, and this also acts as the charging station for the Alice Duo. And it uses these magnetic kind of connectors, so the pogo pins basically. I think this is really, really, really cool. This is nice. Even a little volume knob on this guy. And apparently this also has like a charge indicator. See how there's like a right power and left power? So there's the left and right side, and then we have the accessories, and then we have plates, and then we have foam, which I actually might build this with foam today, guys. Not for nothing. I just think I like Alice's with foam. So today might be a foam build. And these are the wrist rests, which we'll take a look at these at the very end of the build. But these are wrist rests here. So let's put those to the side. They have that little duo smiley that even kind of extends onto this little magnetic accent piece on the keyboard. I really like the logo for this board. I gotta admit, guys. Oh, look, there's me. PVD or stainless or whatever polished, you know, when it's a mirror finish, normally I'm like, whatever. But it does look really good here. You know, we have those little stepped internals to help break up some sound. I love that. I do see some Phillips screws, which is interesting. And then they have this, which is, you can basically flip this up and then suddenly you get an angle on this. Well, this one here would be on this side, but. So you get these little like raisable feet, which I think even past having this cool receiver that, you know, they're boasting an 8K polling rate, which I feel like it's cool to have that on paper, but I'm gonna be real with you guys. I've used 8K polling rate as someone who's a very casual gamer. It does nothing for me, but it's a cool feature to have, I guess. This, I think, is the major selling point for me. This little, whatever you want to call this, riser, this little thing here. I think that is absolutely sweet, dude. It almost feels a bit genius. That is pretty good. Like, it's staying in place. I do not foresee you guys would break this, but it does have a pretty good stiffness. In terms of visual aesthetics, let's zoom in a little bit here, because I think this is also extremely pretty. Look at even just these curves over here. Like, look at all the detailing going on. Again, the price range for this is about $285. It could change, but I think there's a lot going on for this. Like, even again, these little beautiful little curves over here. We have the seam kind of hidden underneath over here too, so it's not going to be a visible seam on the side. Very futuristic looking. You can kind of see that piece of weight material sitting underneath there too. Are we into this as a collective or nah? Next, we're going to take a look at the PCB and layout and stuff, so I really like it. I'd say this is probably one of the more unique products I've seen in a long time. This is how it's going to charge, and then you're just going to put this into this over here, and that will allow it to charge once we plug this in to this. So you can already see, because this has a battery in it, that's the charge of the right, and then if we plug it into the other one over here, so those are the battery statuses. It's cool. I like it. You know, you're going to keep a receiver on the desk probably anyways. This is going to be a volume knob. I appreciate the receiver not just being a receiver. Now, when it comes down to the cables, I'm gonna be real with you guys. I don't think I have a problem with the cables being proprietary in this case. I get it though. If these happen to die or you lose one, they're probably gonna be a bit more of a pain to replace. So there's, there's probably a bit of a love-hate for me personally when it comes to the, a proprietary cable like this. Do I think it's cool that we get like a magnetic cable? Absolutely. I think that is super, super neat. But I guess it is what it is there. So they sent me the Flex Cut PCB. This is the 1.2. So there's going to be a non-Flex Cut PCB as well. Again, I'm not bothered by this because I plan to use foam regardless. And then this is going to have some little LEDs that we're going to put into the plate afterwards. So kind of like some of the other, I think, what is it? The Ergo. It's going to have those like little LEDs that go in the spaces. And it's going to have some blockers for that. And then we have some gaskets. And I don't know what this is for, but we'll find out later. We have our stabilizers. I'm probably going to use all the foam with this, if that's chill with you guys. There's a lot of options on this. We do have the option to go with a shift key or the arrows. You're not locked into anything. You can just pick what you want. I'm probably going to end up going with the arrows today. All right, I am very pleasantly surprised with this keyboard so far. Let's mod some stabs. Diffuser's in on that side, and let's put them on this side. Yeah, this is actually a cool receiver. The more I look at this, the more I like this project. Now, what the hell are all these? Are these all different, or is this just meant for one side? Yeah, so these are a little bit thicker. All right, so this has that little plastic thing on the bottom, which I'm just gonna leave for the sake of it being there, because I don't know if we need it or not. But here's how the internals look. Even tells you right and left, so right here, which is cool. There's that button on the top kind of doing its thing. I'll show you guys here. Cool. And then we have our gaskets. Let's use the thicker gaskets, shall we? Yeah, again, we have our pogo pins, battery and reef here. We got a weight. Loved the stepped internal designs here. Again, this does wonders. In case you guys are wondering why I like this, this does wonders for sound. Sound, when it bounces against a flat object, like it'll sound one way, but when you kind of break up certain sounds and have it shoot off in different directions, it can really do a number to the way the keyboard sounds. So pretty exciting for that. Wow, the magnet's really strong on this, by the way. If you guys are concerned about the pogo pin strength on this, it's also not a hard pogo pin either, and what I mean by that is it has some play to it, so it's not going to be like a hard spot for sound or feel. This is probably one of the beefiest pogo connectors I've seen yet. Ooh, that's a nice sound. This was a very easy assembly. And apparently this is already paired right out of the box too. So when we plug this in, it should just like start working, which is great. This is just a clean set. This will also make the board pop a little bit more. I think this is set to lighting effects. Oh, that's convenient. It's a $285 split Alice with an optional tenting on the bottom. So if you want to tent this, you just go from here and you pull and you get a tented keyboard, which I think is probably, outside of this also having some other really cool features, one of the coolest pieces about this board. And then you get a tent, which is so freaking cool. The board itself looks absolutely stunning. You can go to 5 degrees. It's 0 or 5. There's no in between. Build process is extremely easy. Outside of the awesome other features, and let's actually go through the awesome features first. 8K polling rate, really cool. Separate little dongle that these boards, transmit all their data to. Really neat. Battery indicators on this, really cool. This acts as a separate volume knob, really cool. I like it. I like all the stuff this has to offer. Cool little toggleable buttons you can probably program at the end of the day for something else. Awesome first look at this. Again, I want to give a shout out to them for making a functional receiver, not just like other receivers I have, which kind of just sit on my desk and just, look pretty, I guess. But this actually has some use. It indicates your battery life. Volume knob, really cool. Love, love, love what this board has to offer at a great price point. Now, the only thing, guys, that I think will be divisive is this is not, as you guys saw, there's no USB-C ports. And the only USB-C port is on the back of the receiver. This will probably be maybe you know, some turnoffs for some people. I don't know about battery life. I'd have to test this. The whole keyboard charges via these magnetic things over here. That's how you connect the keyboard. It still works. Like, you can actually use the keyboard still while it's plugged in, which is, it's cool. It's kind of MagSafe reminiscent for sure. It's like what you get in the Apple products. You know, if this did just have regular USB-C and you know, even if you had to plug something in from here, I think I might have preferred the USB-C to USB-C, just in case something happens to one of these cables and you're like, damn, I'm out of luck. QK doesn't even sell these anymore, or it costs too much. Yeah, I kind of agree with Gingy on this. It feels not so much, I mean, it does at the end of the day feel a little anti-consumer, but I also understand like where they're coming from this. Like, it's a cool product that they put out. It's just not, from a lot of standpoints, it's not like a standardized thing. Otherwise, it is a incredibly cool product. Let's type and let's find out what this sounds like. So we're using matcha pudding switches, which are a fun little Key Geek switch. Aluminum plate with PE film and the plate foam. I'm not using any of the bottom foam. This will take me a little while to find out what angle I like the best here. Yeah, they're all wireless. I like the space bars on these. I think this sounds really, really good, actually. Yeah, let's see if the tenting affects anything on this. Not really. It's actually way easier to type with the tenting. Can you try it with a real space bar? That sold me, I'm getting it. Sounds perfect, solved. There you guys go. Yes, let's take a look at the wrist rest too. And those extra pieces for inside over here, because these are gonna be little magnets that you can raise up the, I guess you can raise these up? Yeah, interesting. And these kind of like put little gaskets in there. I mean, cool, I guess. Again, I'm not a wrist rest user. I mean, you know what? For what it's worth, that's a pretty good idea. That's a pretty good idea for what it's worth. Pretty easy to change these around too, and then you get some perfectly aligned wrist rests. That is a very clever way. I think there's a lot to like about this board. I think even if I use this board on the regs, I don't know if I'd put wrist rests on this. I do think this board has a lot to love. I think this is one of the more exciting projects that I've seen. I like how they kept a lot of the stylized portions on the bottom, which still makes the board look super cool and super awesome. It is a very simplistic, it almost feels very timeless keyboard on the top with a little bit of flair. You know, you get this cool little smiley face kind of duo logo. Very, very, very cool. I really like what they did with this. The fact that you can quickly swap to a tent is super awesome. The receiver is great. They did a lot of awesome things with this. It is, I know I keep using the word awesome, but they really did. They did a really great job. I'm stoked that they made this. Again, the wrist rests, how much are the wrist rests anyways? Did someone say? It's 45 USD each. Okay, so yeah, the wrist rest is kind of expensive, but I mean, it's a pretty neat looking wrist rest too. If you guys are you guys need a wrist rest. I mean, awesome job though. I have to give it to QWERTY Keys here. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.